All right. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another coffee Q&A here on the onocoffee channel. I'm your host, Jay. We're talking about coffee, questions and answers, anything you want to talk about coffee, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. here on the channel. So what's going on? How y'all doing? Had a little bit of a issue this morning. Like, I normally have this big bundle of Melitta number 4 filters, and I couldn't find them. And I was like, what happened to them? They're just sitting around here. Normally, and so then I realized, oh, they're just sitting in this bag that's kind of hidden because I used them for an event that we did in Bethesda. Anyway, so we're here talking about coffee, and today our topic is about so it's going to be one. On Saturday, over the weekend, I went out to it doesn't matter. I stopped by a Goodwill center, and every once in a while I'll go to these thrift stores and such and just look for coffee items that might be kind of interesting and unusual. And sometimes you come up unlucky, sometimes you come up and find out really wonderful things. And this time I was able to find this old Melitta pour over ceramic dripper, right? Look at this thing. It's classic Melitta. It has the ribbing. As you can see here, it's a small single orifice style. This is like the original style of pour over. Like Melitta is like the originator of this. And it's ceramic. It's actually in really great condition. Like, look at this thing. This is I would say it's in perfect condition. It's no cracks. It doesn't even look that old. It doesn't even look very used. It's really kind of interesting in that respect. Zoom in a bit more here for you. Mom, good morning to you. Kioni, aloha to you. And as you can see, $4. I don't know how much these are. I think they're like $30 or whatever. But, $4. So I was like, all right, that's awesome. That's awesome. So I picked this up. I thought, let's give it a try because I've never really used one of these. I do have a plastic one somewhere. Don't know where it is. One day I'll find it and we can do a head-to-head and see if there's really much of a difference between plastic and porcelain. A couple of things you can get there. You can get like a nice, like china, right? And so I got these cups. I found these 2 cups here. And morning to you, Dan. And so you get these china, look at the $1.50 each, right? That's really nice. And really nice, intricate work, very lightweight, also really thin on the rim, something really comfortable to drink. Now, this one does have a little bit of a crack in it. You can see here, there's a little bit of a crack there. Actually, I didn't notice that until I was standing at the register. I was really just looking at the rim art. So rimming, a little bit of gold here in the handle, but nice handled, right? Really nice. The other one, if this one is by, I think it says Lennox. Is that right? I cannot read that. Let me see here. Oh, Union from Czechoslovakia. Okay, Union from Czechoslovakia. Nice. A lot of times you'll find some really nice Wedgwood, Noritake, and I've got a lot of Noritake that I've gotten from these type of things. Oh, like this one here. This is Noritake. Right there it is, Noritake. Leslie, I think it's called Leslie the Design. Again, $1.50. Similar type of handle, right, with the gold. Right. But this one a little bit more simple and elegant, just one color, but it's nice rim design. Also, I like it has a chip in it. Darn it. Or did I put that in there? Maybe that happened after I bought it. Anyway, the nice thing about this one has there's no way that I missed that. I must have damaged it in the car. Shoot. That's disappointing. Anyway, so rounded lip here and the nice like flowery it's style on the inside. Really pretty, right? Really pretty. Like, you can find really good deals at these thrift stores. People have this china and they have no use for it because you know what? Nobody does formal dining. So might as well get rid of it, right? So anyway, thought we'd give this a try and see. Let me turn the water back on and see how it works. Does it work well? Is it worth considering as part of the arsenal that you have at home? You know, Melitta is definitely not one of the sexy brands today from Japan. This is what Melitta is, I think, Austrian or German. So, you know, no longer the first on people's minds when it comes to drip pour over brewing, but it might be worth an investigation. And, you know, here's something that might be kind of nice. It's got a smaller single hole orifice. And one thing that I like about these small single hole orifice type of brewers over the V60 is that it's smaller, right? These ones that have smaller holes or maybe multiple holes but are smaller, they tend to retard the flow of the water through the grinds, right? So you'll have a little more reservoir buildup, and it'll take longer to go through, so you get more exposure time to the coffee with the water. And I think that can be a good thing. It's just that, again, you have to manage. You're still managing the point of like how fine or how coarse a grind you're going to use so that you get the flow rate that you want. Because even though regardless of the type of orifice or the type of vessel, we're still talking about 3.5 to 4 minutes of total brew time that we want to expose the coffee to the water. And that doesn't necessarily change too much, right? So we want to manage the way that it flows. So this one, if you have a very fine grind that's slow flowing naturally, slow percolating naturally, that'll be the small hole will exacerbate the flow rate, will exacerbate the slowness. So you might have, in this case, you may find that you have to go a little bit coarser to get that same flow rate, right? All right, so let's give it a try. Just making sure the water is rolling. Okay. I should rinse this out because I've been criticized a number of times that I don't clean the vessels. And since this was sitting at the Goodwill, probably should do that. All right, let's get our coffee together. We're going to use the same coffees we did yesterday, the same from Paisa, the one that Matt roasted, the Finca El Camilo, that is a 2023 washed anaerobic Castillo Rosario and Cine Cafe Uno coffee, which was, you know, not too bad. Oh, Peter Borland's with us. Peter Borland, hello from Thailand. Good evening to you, man. How are you doing out there? Thank you for joining us. Ooh, a lot of Thai people there today. All right, excellent, excellent. All right, so let's get our stuff together here. It's getting colder here, so I'm getting more sniffly. Now, like you remember yesterday, the coffee is a little bit deeper roasted than probably a lot of you guys are used to using. So definitely more of a darker than light, but more of a medium city to city plus or full city type of roast right there. But this is a anaerobic, fermented, washed, fermented, and washed, and then anaerobic. See, I don't really get this part, right? This washed and anaerobic. Like, they wash it. I'm just wondering, does this mean they wash the coffee and then, you're familiar with, like, typically, like, the wash coffees, you take the coffee, you depulp it, you remove the seeds from the cherries, you put them in a water bath for like 16 to 24 hours, depending on the temperature, and you remove the mucilage through fermentation, right? The sugar, the yeast in the water, you can inoculate with yeast or you can use natural yeast, and then the yeast will eat the sugars that's in the mucilage of the coffee that removes the mucilage layer, and then you dry and then you're done. That's typical wash. But anaerobic, see, this is the part that I'm saying. So under anaerobic, I've seen anaerobic done with pulp natural. So you take the pulp, you depulp, you pulp the cherries, remove the beans from the skins, and then you use that with the mucilage and all, and you do your anaerobic fermentation with that. Or I've also seen them do anaerobic fermentation with whole ripe beans. But if you I'm presuming that what they're saying here is that they wash the coffee fully, and then they take that washed coffee and then put it into an anaerobic fermentation for 60 hours. I think that's what that means. I don't really understand what that means, actually. Anyway, so, well, you know, whatever. It still gives you it. Yesterday we had some of that little bit of funkiness. We had a little bit of the that kind of lactic acid, that kind of malolactic fermentation kind of flavor, where it was a little bit like not milky, but kind of creamy, right? So we're going to try it and see what happens. Yeah. And Keone is actually in Krung Thep, so more Bangkok people here, or more Thailand people. What part are you there in, Peter? All right, so we got our grinder, the Baratza Virtuoso, the old school Baratza Virtuoso. So this is a nice little solid grinder. It's not the sexy stuff that you have today. I gotta say the sexy stuff is kind of nice, but you know, maybe I'm a little bit old and curmudgeonly. So we're gonna go back now to our 20 setting, which is our kind of typical setting for pour over with this grinder. Turn the grinder back on. We're gonna do our little grind cam here. And Peter says he's in Nonthaburi, which is quite close to the city. Oh, nice. Excellent. Well, welcome. Always glad to have you here join us. All right, so we got that all ground up. Good. Get that out of the way. Now we're going to take our paper filter. So this is the Melitta style number 4 filter for a Melitta number 4 type of brewer, which is kind of excellent. So because it is flat here at the bottom, we're still going to take our filter and fold it at the seams, right? I just like to fold it at the seams so that it sits nice and flat. And I always like to put the seams to the handles. That's just more of an ADHD kind of thing that I like to do. Now we're going to take our coffee. Put that in there. As you can see that the grounds are fairly medium. And then let's get we've got our, what do you call this? The whatever you call that, carafe thing. Now that sits there. Now the nice thing about this, it does have a little bit of a lip here so that it prevents it from sliding off completely. And it's a little bit, they've got some ribs, and it's a little bit cupped, not cupped, I guess, convex, right? So it kind of sits in there a little bit more. So it's actually nicely designed. It's not like, you know, a lot of the newer generation stuff, it's all flat, so it moves a lot easier. This one, because it's got this convexity that forces it to sit more into the opening of the brewing vessel, it actually doesn't move. It doesn't really want to move. Like sometimes you get these other ones that they kind of want to move and you're a little bit nervous, but not so much with this. All right, let us see here. We've got this. Okay, let's tear it out. And we've got our coffee. Great. Let's get our Hario Fit kettle here. Gosh, I hope I brewed enough water. Oh, yeah, for sure. All right, here we go. Let's do some brewing with the Melitta Goodwill Special. So I'm just trying to wet all the surface. We've reached 24. We reached equilibrium with our coffee, and the water has started to flow through. I really do think that having this thing at 40, the bar, you know, brewing on a bar that's 42 inches high is too high. Like you're really holding it. Like it's harder to maintain control than if it's like at 30 inches. Like if your work surface at 30 inches, like a tabletop, it's much easier to control because you're not lifting it here. You're only holding it to this point. So if you're building a coffee bar to work on, don't make it 48. Don't make it 42 inches. Make it 30. Oh, yeah. Okay, now, 1 minute. Oh, we're a little bit behind. I'm talking too much. Let's start to brew. We're going to bring it to 100. And we're going to catch up to 200 by the 2-minute mark. All right, looks like it's flowing well. Actually, even though it has this smaller orifice that we talked about, it's not really flowing, I would say, significantly slower than maybe a V60 or any of the other ones we're using. It's actually going fairly quickly. But that being said, I do like the smaller orifice brewers, really for beginners. I think it's easier to get more consistent results using a brewer such as this rather than the larger like V60 type, because I think the V60, because it has such a large orifice, it really requires you to have a lot more control over your pouring and what you're doing, which just makes it more challenging. It makes it more challenging, especially for the new person that's brewing coffee at home. So I tend not to recommend those as much. We're still running a little bit behind. Not to worry. 200 to 211, 242. Wow, Peter, you've been there 20 years already. That's amazing. One of my good friends also lives in Bangkok. He's been there. Gosh, I think he's been there at least 15 years. Maybe not 20, but at least 15. Oh, yeah, we're definitely rolling slowly on this. 310, 257. That extra talking early on in the brew has caused us to be a little bit behind. 330, 288. Now, I could have run and gunned it harder, but I was like, I like to keep the water level kind of consistent without going too high, right? I want to keep it at this level. So while I wanted to pour harder, I don't want to like overfill and chase it. There were 341, 347. So we're not terribly behind, but there we go, 351. So Kieran is asking, do I prefer ceramic, plastic, or metal for pouring? I think I prefer ceramic. I'll use whatever's around. Like if I'm brewing it in the kitchen, what I have there is the Clever, which is plastic. So I mean, I'm not that particular, but I think my preference, if I was to have a preference, it would be ceramic. I think it has nice heat retention, as well as I think it looks nicer. It's a prettier presentation, I think. Yeah, that's my thought on it. All right, let's have a look here. Let's see. So there it is, the Melitta number 4. Let's take this out here. The nice thing is that since we're just using one serving in a large 4-cup solution, we can just take this out, pull it out, and as you can see, there's a little bit of leftover, coffee there, so not too bad for cleaning. Right, so fairly simple for cleaning. Now let's get our. Oh, you know what? Let's use this. We're going to use this cup. I should probably rinse it out because it's. So this is the type of cups we were using at the Cafe du Spro. So I would buy these. I can't believe I chipped it. I'm the one that chipped that, darn it. All right, so there's that. Oh, let's use this cup as well to give you a reference, we normally use this one. So let's look at it again. How clear? So comparatively to the Espro, we got good clarity here, right? Good clarity. Looks good. Let's. It has a similar pungent aroma to yesterday. Like I said, this is a coffee that Matt didn't like. So let's see how it tastes. Yeah, I mentioned yesterday it has this durian-esque kind of pungency that yesterday it got a little bit sweeter as it cooled. And again, we're starting off with that pungent kind of durian, kind of pungent. Like that's really the way to. Now that pungency is a little bit different in this cup. It feels more rounded, where this is, it feels a little sharper. And I think that's because of the way that the lips, the rims, are delivering it to your palate, right? This rounded, softer, just kind of drops it in like that, right? Whereas this one, it just kind of sloshes into your. Peter says, I'm sorry I have to leave. Thanks, Jay, for your live chat. Always enjoyable. Have a great day. Well, thank you, Peter. Good to see you. Come and join us anytime or on the replay. Let us know if you're on the replay. Have a great one. I know it's kind of late there. All right, so this is not bad. Better. So it is a bit pungent. I definitely understand why Matt doesn't like this coffee. Like it's a strange, weird coffee. Yesterday, like I said, it gotten a little bit. It did cool down into more of a kind of creamy character, and it does have a durian-esque pungency to it that may not be quite nice. George, what's going on, George? I'm curious as to whether using durian descriptors off-putting or negative in some aspect. I mean, it's definitely pungent and not necessarily a. Okay, it's not necessarily a. Well, I mean, I think that depends on your aspect of whether or not you like durian. Right? If you're a fan of durian, that could be a very great thing. But like, it does have bitterness, it does have pungency, it does have this durian-esque character, which is not. In this particular case, to my particular tastes, it's not exactly a positive. But I'm not saying that to be negative on the coffee, but I'm just saying that is the sensation of flavor that I get from it. Because I realize that people may like durian, and that could be very like people would be like, "Well, it tastes like durian. I should try that coffee." Whereas there's a lot of people in the world that like, tastes like durian. I should never try that coffee. So yeah, it's not meant to be positive. It's not necessarily meant to be positive nor negative. It's meant to be kind of more factual. But if you're like me and you're not terribly fond of durian, it's not necessarily a positive thing, right? Hope that makes some sensibility in how I described it. But definitely pungent. There's definitely some bitterness. The anaerobic fermentation definitely has impacted the coffee in a way that is, at least for Matt, was definitely not pleasurable. For me, it's just kind of like, okay, it's weird, it's kind of funky, it's kind of pungent, it's kind of strange. I don't know if it'd be my go-to drinking coffee. Like in a day, I would prefer something more chocolatey and fruity, nutty, right? That's my preference, right? So But it's not, I think it's worthwhile to try because it's interesting. It's different. It's not the same thing. Now, in my case, there's the question of like, would I consider buying something like this to offer guests at Spro? And I would say, yeah, this is something I would consider buying because it's got some really funky, interesting flavors and characters to it, right? So, like for me, it's a question of like, we've bought a lot of coffees in the past that had strange, funky pungency to them, like really different types of coffees. And they were really meant for the more adventurous of our clientele, right? People that we have had a relationship with and built trust with over a period of time. So they would come in and they would be like, well, what do you have that's new or different? And so sometimes we would have coffees like this that were and sometimes even more extreme, right? Like I remember one coffee we got from Uganda, from the Bugisu, that had this strange processing. It might have been anaerobic, but it was before people were really calling things anaerobic and whatnot. But it had a strong, like pungent blueberry, blue cheese kind of character, not like the Suntdogger, but more like the really funky blue cheeses, right? So we got that because I figured but those are not the coffees we would offer to the first time visitor, right? If somebody walked in and said, "It's my first time here. What do you have that's interesting?" Unlikely we're going to give them that because like that would be something that's so like far out there, or like this is even kind of out there. Where like if we were to present this as the hallmark of our tastes at that moment, even I would be like, well, dude, what are you serving me? What kind of craziness is this? What kind of place is this, right? So after time, you build up trust, relationships with your clientele. Then you let them say, hey, oh, what's interesting and different? Well, try this, because they already know what you're doing. They already understand that. There's that relationship build. So Peter says, I love funky and pungent coffee. Well, then I think you would like this, Peter. This is probably right up your alley. Now, unfortunately, this is a coffee that came out last year, so I don't think it's available anymore. So, but I'm sure there's something else that's going to be available. I'm just starting really to get back into tasting different green coffees again, because as we get closer to opening the new shop, it's like, okay, I need to start getting some newer inventory. Peter says, pungent and bitter, I can handle. Durian or jackfruit, not so much. Oh, you don't like jackfruit? See, I love jackfruit, man. I can't get enough. Peter, what's going on, Peter? What did I miss? Yeah, you haven't missed anything. We're just, talking coffee, pungent. Same coffees yesterday, pungent, bitter, durian. It hasn't cooled to that creaminess that we had yesterday. But we're trying in different cups, right? We're trying in different cups. This is a Noritake, and this is the Riedel. So there is a difference in the way that it's presenting itself slightly because of the way that it's delivered to the palate. The Noritake has this nicer sloped edge, where this one has a straight edge. Keone says that George, durian is pungent, but the fruit is actually creamy and sweet. Yeah, definitely. There's a very creamy unctuousness to especially on the texture. And yeah, there is definitely sweetness, but that funky bitterness just really punches through. But some people love that. Like, and I always thought that I was someone that would like that or had liked it in the past. But when I had it last year in Kuala Lumpur, I was like, oh, I don't know if I like it. Do I like it because I'm trying to be cool Asian guy? Or am I just the standard American dude that doesn't like that kind of flavor profile? I don't know. I don't have an answer for that yet. Almost custard-like. Yeah, definitely custard-like. I would definitely agree with that. So yeah, yesterday's coffee again, but using a medium grind and so using the Melitta. That's right. Yeah, I forgot about that detail. We're using this Melitta rather than the Espro French press, and trying it out this way. I wonder if we're not getting that creaminess because don't know. Maybe that's part of maybe that creaminess comes from that extra sediment that's in the French press, the brew. George says the beautiful China cup would make me happy to use every day, even if I had to have. Yeah, like I've got quite a few of these type of cups. We were using these exclusively, this style of cup, exclusively the Café du Brew, because I modeled that after Café de l'Ombre. And actually, Café de l'Ombre doesn't have this type of cupware. They actually have a different style of cupware. They have a lot of it is actually something that Ichiro Sekiguchi actually had made for him. This style of cup is actually taking a nod from a place called Chate Hato in Shibuya, where they've got a wide selection of China cups and some really exquisite ones. And like evidently the owner, as he's making your coffee and you order, he's sizing you up and determining what kind of cup meets what he perceives of you. And because with John Piquet at Cafe de Bola, him and I talk about like different theories on like what cup style, right? And what kind of like rim gives a certain type of flavor, and what kind of coffees are you going to serve in a not just the rim, but the shape of the bowl, the depth, right? So there's some that are taller and some that are more shallow, some that are wider, some that have more of a slope, some sharper. So in John's case, he's trying to figure out, like a lot of people, what kind of shape delivers a coffee perfectly. Evidently, at Chate Hato, he's looking at the cups. He's looking at the guest and determining what cup fits the guest's personality best. And I think they're both fascinating deliveries. And I have to say that I was really kind of excited, knowing that, and going to Chate Hato the one time that I was there. I was quite excited then to receive the Red Dragon cup. I was like, this guy thinks I'm a dragon. I like that. I will come here again. Kiona says that there are so many different varieties of durian, and some varieties do not have any pungent smell. Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay, I think you mentioned that before, though. Some are finer, some are firmer than others, and others are just really creamy sweet. All right. Do you have? And then Dan's asking, do you have unglazed clay cup handy? Some people believe it can attenuate the bitterness. Oh, I do not. I do not have unglazed clay cups. I don't think I even have anything unglazed clay cup at all. Oh. Yeah, this Texas Sotol cup, it's unglazed here, but it is glazed on the inside, so that wouldn't fit that criteria. I'm afraid I don't. We'll have to try that, and then I'll have to look for one and give that a try. That's something I got to keep in the mind, Dan. Thanks for that. George says, I love delicate China cups since they don't draw heat from whatever it is poured into it, unlike typical. Yeah, I think that's probably because they're so thin, right? They don't have that much mass that they need to fill. Like even this one, where this is an ACF cup, a cappuccino cup here, it is not as thin as this one, so it's going to draw some of that temperature, which is why a lot of times when we're working with them, we'll keep these on top of the espresso machine to keep them warm, or preheat them before using them so that you can lower that ability. Empty Head says a beer mug. Oh, you mean for like the steins that have the, like something like this. This is kind of a beer mug-ish stein. This is actually big ceramic, but it is glazed on the inside. This is from the Maryland Renaissance Festival, which used to be very easy to get into. Nowadays, it's almost impossible to get into this thing. Like you have to buy your tickets months in advance. Like I'm going on the 19th of October, and I had to go buy the tickets like a month ago. And I was like, I really don't. I just like to go and like when I feel like it. Now you have to plan. So it's like, I don't know. It's still fun. But the planning part is not as fun. I think that the empty head says half full, so the top half holds onto the room without being diffused by the surrounding air environment. Oh, I see. So use a beer mug and make it half full. Do I have a beer mug? I must have a beer mug somewhere. I thought I had a beer or something. You know, I do have this. If I can reach it. Oh, sorry if I'm making noise. I've got this thing. This is a Belgian ale, right? This is Belgian ale type of. Am I correct in that? This is a Belgian ale style of glassware. Let's try that. We'll try that. Now I know it's kind of late because it's been sitting around, but let's see what happens. And we'll pour a lot of that in there. Now, that should help, because of the shape of it, should help concentrate some of the aromas. Yeah, it's got that because the coffee is a bit darker roasted and it is a pungent coffee. The concentration of the flavors in the nose is not necessarily pleasant. Like that's doing that does not make me want to drink it. I'm like, oh gosh, man, that's a bit heavy roasted. And this one, comparatively to the other two, now this is just a regular glass that I got from an event that my friend at Tobacco Leaf put on. So this is kind of like one of those Libby style glasses. So commercial ware that's meant for bar use, that's very busy, that can take, a lot of shock. So it's a lot thicker. Like this is a big, thick rim comparatively to like the Riedel, for example, right? So it's brought out. It has tone. I don't know if that's cool. That's cool, but there's still none of the milkiness or creaminess that we got yesterday. But it's actually kind of brought up more of the fruit, like a pungent durian fruit. That's an interesting discovery. Thanks, Empty Head, on that one. George says the discussion of cups mimics precisely what George Riedel held as driving philosophy behind his glass. Like Riedel, I'm always fascinated with it. Like these are Riedels. What else do we have here that are Riedel? This is Riedel. Like I like the Riedels. Now they used to make a smaller one for general wine tasting, but I think they stopped making that because I've not seen anyone carrying those in a long time. I think this is also Riedel. Is this Riedel? Yeah, this is also Riedel. This is a more for like Burgundy and red wines. Right, these probably need to be cleaned. And then I have another Riedel here that I really like. This is designed for like whiskeys. I think we've used this to taste. I like this. Gosh, I really do need to clean these. These are dirty. Anyway, so yeah, I do like. I think the Riedels are nice. There's a new one that Dave Arnold was talking about. A company called Glassvin, Glasvin, mostly stemware. And he was saying that they do have some cocktailware, but he was saying that the cocktail one's a little bit too big. But I've been thinking about ordering some of those to try to see. Like I've tried using these type of glasses or stem glasses for coffee tasting, but I found that I don't know if there's an advantage, right? And one thing with this type of glass, right, especially the tasting glass that we were using before, is, I made them, one of the first times I used it, I made the mistake of pouring the hot coffee into the glass. Of course, first I'm worried that, will the glass take that heat shock and will it crack? So I took that hot coffee, gave it the old deep sniff, and that was a bad thing because that steam just like singed my nose. Not a good. And then you're like tearing. It's really not a good look. Not a good look. Okay, so Empty Head says he will work with this. Yeah, this isn't bad. This is actually kind of interesting. I would like it to be a bit more delicate in the glass, where like but like I said, this is like a Libby style glass. So yeah, pinched in near the top to hold the aromas. This one's more open in the top. I don't know why they use this for whiskeys, but there's a whole science behind this that I haven't really been able to like study much on. There's just so many things to like try to read about and only so much time for reading. I was listening to an interview not too long ago on this airline podcast with the CEO of United, Scott Kirby. And he was like, they were talking about his schedule and what he's like, what's his day like? And he's like, yeah, every day I spend 3 hours reading. And I was like, what? How do you find 3 hours? You're the CEO of a worldwide airline. How are you finding 3 hours to like read? I'm just terribly impressed with that. Terribly impressed. George says, the Empty Head but a cognac glass has a bigger bowl and a narrow opening. The better to capture the nose of delicate spirits. Oh, okay, gotcha. Let's just get the snifter glass out. Why not add a wee drink? One should not be drinking too much day drinking in the morning on a regular work day. Plus, I have a lot of stuff to do. I need to get finished done today. I cannot be starting that kind of hobby. All right. Well, that's pretty much it then, I guess. The Melitta number 4. So the point of the video today is that you can find if you go to your local Goodyear or Goodwill or Salvation Army, whatever thrift store. Sometimes you can find nice like gear and not have to spend a lot of money. Like this one, this Melitta is only $4. $4 is normally what I have a link down in the description to the actual new one, and it's I think $28. So you can get a nice deal. Sometimes there's some good stuff. I even got a percolator. I couldn't help. And then they had this. They also had this nice like silver tea kettle, like silverware tea kettle with the 4 feet and like the fluted spout. I was like, well, that's only like $8. I'll buy that. The coolest one that I have that I'm going to use at the new shop is that there was this, how like people have bars at home and they have these glass bottles that they transfer their like whiskey to. This one must have come from the 70s. Like it looks straight out of the 70s. It has this silk screen painted on multicolor image of this like hunting dog. I think it's holding a pheasant with this massive like brown like glass stopper on top. And I was like, oh wow, that just looks epic. That's just epic. I have to get that for the new one. So for like some kind of syrup I'm going to use that. Be like, this is the deal. But Peter says I buy half of my stuff. See, Peter, you're very smart. This is the way. Like I was actually surprised to find this. Like I always look for these. But the problem with the thrift store, if you see it and you want it, you've got to buy it right away. Like I remember I used to have a Salvation Army right around the corner from the shop. And so I would go there like once or twice a week. One day I was there, they had this 5-candle silver candelabra. And I was like, that's awesome. And it was like, I don't know, $15 or whatever it was. It wasn't expensive at all. But I was like, oh my gosh. But I was like, maybe that's excessive. I'll come back tomorrow. So I came back the next day, gone. And I didn't see another nice candelabra for another year. Then one day I walked in, there was this one. There was a 3-candle candelabra. This thing for like $4. This cost me $4, $3.99. This is Lumiere from from Beauty and the Beast. And I was like, okay, so it's not the 5. Like I really wanted the 5, would have been awesome. But I saw the 3 and I was like, okay, I'm taking it. I'm taking it now. I will not let it go. Actually, it needs to, as you can see, it's getting kind of tarnished. I need to clean it up and polish it. Or not. Maybe just leave it this way, like the decadence maybe with silver, that you don't have to polish it. Just make it look awesome. But, all right. Peter says, I have a mocha pot collection. Nice. How many mocha pots do you have? And do you display? Okay, that's something for you guys. I'm curious. Like, since I know you guys all have, more than one brewer at home, are you displaying them or do you keep them stored away? I'm curious to know. My best buy is a Picasso. Oh, Picasso. Oh, very nice. Very nice. You mean Picasso as in the painter, as in Pablo, or as in something else? George says, great prop for your Vincent Price. I know I should walk around, but the problem when you walk around with a candle, like lit candle, is they drips all over you. And I'm like, hot wax on my skin is not really my thing. Like you'd think that it would be, but that's not my kink. That's not my kink. Oh, the painting. Whoa, wow, really? Okay, that's epic. That's epic painting. That is an epic find then. Epic find. You'll have to send us a photo of that. I'd be interested to see the Picasso. All right. And then Dan says, my collections. I saw a video recently on YouTube that I don't know if you guys have seen this, but because I'm in the YouTube thing and I'm like, I actually watch a lot of like camera and tech videos on YouTube. And this one guy was like posting, he has a video, I forgot what it's called but basically the gist of the video is like, I showed my girlfriend how much gear I have and the cost. And of course the thumbnail is this girl, she looks totally upset. It's like, yeah, guys should never show women receipts of their hobbies. That's never a good thing. Kerry says, I just have too many watches and yeah. And you just don't want to let them know the level of your psychosis, right? We want women, as men, we want women to respect us and to adore us, right? The more they see the true psychosis of our minds and what we spend stuff on, the more tarnished that becomes. So it's better not to. Like, just watch. It's just a trifle. It's just a trifle. Is that a different brewer? No, it's the same that you saw before. It's not. Nothing's different. Nothing's different. That's my advice, at least. That's my thought. But don't take it from me. I'm not married. No woman would put up with me. So that's all right. All right. So that's pretty much for today. We're back again tomorrow with more coffee Q&A here on the Ono Coffee channel. And thanks for tuning in. Good to see all of you guys. So just, if you go to the thrift store, you can find some nice stuff, some nice cupware. Maybe they have Riedel, but I don't think Riedel's carries well. I think most people break them before they get there. All right, so hope you have a wonderful day or night for those of you out in the other side of the planet. Good to see all of you today, and hopefully see you guys tomorrow or sometime in the future. If you're watching the replay, thanks for tuning in, and All right, George, Mom, Peter, Kione, Dan, Empty Head. Good to see all you guys, and see you next time.